Well, hi, everyone. Welcome to Masterbooks Recipe for Homeschool Success Summit. Today, I am talking to Brian Young. Brian is one of our instructors in Masterbooks Academy. He does a lot of the science courses, and today he's going to talk to us about labs, the science labs, specifically biology, chemistry, and physics. So Brian is somebody you want to get to know. If that's not a subject that you love to teach or you're a little intimidated by teaching those subjects, Brian is going to be your left-hand or right-hand man. So Brian, welcome to our summit.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. We've had you on some podcasts. I love when we get to talk about elementary paleontology. It's not the topic today, but since we're here, I wanted to just mention to everyone that Brian does that. He's a creation instruction speaker, and he has a mobile semi-saurus where he does the recording for that particular course. But since I've just kind of teased that up a little bit, I want you to go ahead and tell everybody what you do as a creation instruction person.
Yeah, so I basically speak at schools, conferences, even in prisons, just really anywhere that the Lord opens a door, but ultimately to use creation as a platform to share the gospel and just to let creation and what God has made speak of his power, glory, and his nature, as Romans 1 tells us. And so I really just, I love science because of that. We get to, the more you know God, or I should say, the more you know him, the more you're going to love him. And that's a great way where science can help. And it just creates a strong foundation for our kids to see that the science and the Bible are not at odds, which is something that, you know, a lot of the world is trying to tell us. So do a lot of speaking. We have that museum as well. We just opened up a brand new creation museum in Broken Bow, Nebraska as well. And that one has been going really well. Just, again, hopefully people will come to hear the truth.
Absolutely. Well, one of our last podcasts we did together, you were there on the set in that location, and it was so exciting to see how big your displays and very lifelike. So thank you for everything that you are doing to present the gospel using creation as the subject matter. And I love that you even go into prisons. That's really neat.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a great place to be, actually.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
As long as you can get out.
I'm sure they let you out.
Yes.
So let's talk about the courses for high school that are at masterbooksacademy.com. And one thing I want to make very clear is that you need the curriculum from masterbooks.com in order to do these specific lab courses over at masterbooksacademy.com. So that's where Brian is an instructor, is at the Academy. It's our online learning portal where you can supplement and enrich the courses that you are taking from the books that we publish. So Brian, tell us a little bit about, let's say, biology. What are some of the things that the labs that people are going to enjoy in a biology course? Are they going to be grossed out all the time?
No, there might be sometimes. However, that's one nice thing about the lab is that if you do not want to be grossed out and you just want to watch it on TV, versus or your computer screen versus having to get your hands all gross, you can. I think that the value of it is certainly the ease. One of the things that I hear a lot of parents say is that there's so much prep work to get these labs together, to organize all your materials. And with these labs, it's nice to be able to just go to the computer, open up the video for that day or for that lab, and you're ready to go and you can follow along. What I even tell people sometimes, if you do get to some of these labs that you want to do along with me as an instructor, that you can go ahead and maybe order a worm or a frog to dissect as an example. But if you didn't want to do that, and then you can just follow the video and it will give you everything that you need without having to, go through all the mess, the trouble, and even the finances to do so.
Right. So at Masterbooks, we do offer lab kits for these courses. So you can absolutely watch Brian present the dissection or whatever the experiment is that's happening and do it yourself with the lab kits. But as he mentioned, it's a very affordable option. We just encourage you to check to make sure your state allows you to use video labs for credit.
Yeah, and I think that what I have found is most states do, but you do want to make sure that that is the case in your state. But it is a very inexpensive way to accomplish these labs, whereas the lab kit, is going to cost you, close to $300 perhaps. These videos are far less than $100. And then if your state does allow that, it saves you all that money. Plus, a nice thing about the videos is I will also explain some of the more difficult concepts. Oftentimes when you're reading a book and it's trying to describe how transcription takes place within our DNA, to explain that in words can be very difficult. But when you can see it and, using props and things like that, it makes it a lot more understandable, and it takes away some of the frustration that you might have in understanding some of those more difficult concepts. And so that's another value of those labs, is just making it a little bit easier, as well as the financial, savings that you have by that as well.
Absolutely. And at Masterbooks, we really work hard to take out the friction points, the things that could slow you down, make you feel less at peace, things that would frustrate you. We want to take those things out so that you can be more successful, feel more successful, and raise very successful students. So we are so thankful to have Masterbooks Academy and Brian to help you through the high school labs. Tell us a little bit about chemistry. What things should they expect in chemistry?
Chemistry, kind of the same type of thing with the labs. It's going to help, explain more difficult concepts. It's going to do them for you. Sometimes kids can be a little disappointed because chemistry, we think of all these things blowing up and, whatever. Well, unfortunately, with the lab kits that you're able to buy, you're not going to get the real fun stuff that can be dangerous or, blow up your home. And so in some of those labs, that's what I am able to do, is bring in some things in addition to the textbooks. What you have there, we want to add value to your curriculum. It isn't just going to, we're not reading your textbooks. We are going to go through the lab, the lab report, every question. We're going to do those kind of things. However, when it comes to the learning and reading, the student still is going to need to do that and read. You want to add value to that curriculum by maybe even giving you some other experiments that I might demonstrate here and there that are a little bit more fun, that might add some fire or, things like that to make it a little bit more interesting as well. And I am a father, so I also will inject a few dad jokes at times that just to lighten the mood and make it a little bit more fun to learn chemistry.
That's really a genius thing to add into these lessons. And I have heard that you are known for your great dad jokes over at Masterbooks Academy. That's wonderful. Well, so we've got biology, chemistry, and physics. And I'm assuming physics is going to be really similar. It's just a different subject matter with your help going through the labs.
Yes. Yep. Same type of thing. It saves you money on the lab kits. It's going to explain the difficult concepts, walk you through the lab reports. The one thing that I do suggest with people is you're going to see on really all three of these, I believe, you're going to see that one day will be your lab, and then the next day you have your lab report. I actually suggest that rather than having science, say 5 days a week, make it 4 days a week and do the lab and the lab report on the same day so that it's fresh in your mind and you're actually doing the lab report while you watch the lab. It just makes it a little bit easier. And like I said, keeps it fresh in your mind. And then you don't have 5 days of science. You'll only have 4 that way as well. Doesn't have to be done that way. It's just a suggestion that I think is a little easier to do in that. But likewise with the physics, we've added some things that aren't in the book, maybe some fun experiments that they can try at home as well to, do on their own just to have some fun.
Absolutely. And to learn more about God's greatness in the process.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the added values in all three of these is I have added a lot more of the creation apologetics to what is taught in the actual textbook itself. That's what I do for a living, and so it is. There's so much out there to, like I said, build a strong foundation for those kids so that they are ready to give a defense for the hope they have in Jesus.
That's beautiful. Well, let's talk about the age ranges or grade levels for these specific courses. We've got biology, chemistry, and physics. So should they be done in that order?
The suggested order would be biology, chemistry, and physics. It doesn't have to be in that order. It's nice to have a little bit of math, at least the 8th grade math, pre-algebra kind of things before you get into the chemistry, because the chemistry will have a little bit of math, not a lot. It isn't real terrible math, but there is enough to where if you aren't able to balance an equation or do things like that, it might be a little bit more difficult. So we do have it. Typically, the biology starts in 9th grade. And then 10th grade chemistry and 11th grade physics. But you can hold off if you'd like and do it 10, 11, and 12. It's really up to you. I tell people that sometimes it's nice in those younger ages to really have fun with science, because those junior high, even like 5th grade, 4th grade, all the way up to 8th grade is really your earth science and life science. Okay. And you're kind of getting the same thing over and over in just a little different ways. And so I say, let your child love science. Don't bore them so that, they hate science by the time they get to these courses. And that's where some of these other courses that Masterbooks has can really be good. Like, if they're into dinosaurs, do elementary paleontology. If they're into animals, do elementary zoology. Or if they're in anatomy, there's an elementary anatomy. There's astronomy. There's all these different things. So let them kind of pick and have fun. And substitute those things in, because, if you're doing, elementary zoology, that's still your life science, and you're still going to be learning the things for life science. But that way, by the time they get there to biology, chemistry, and physics are going to be a little bit more serious. And for some, it may not be as fun. And hopefully, if you can kind of keep their interest in science, they're going to go into it with a little better attitude and kind of look forward to doing those things a little more as well then.
Absolutely. And then you're there to be successful on their behalf with the labs. And I love that they have you as a teacher, but also like a positive coach. And we did this together. You're doing it for them or with them. And so that brings me to the thought. Some people use this even in their co-op groups where they can, or at home when they bring another family in to do the labs together with Masterbooks Academy. So we want to just recommend that you look at the courses, that you take a look at the free. You can watch like 1 week for free or one chapter for free at masterbooksacademy.com. So check those out. You'll get a feel for what it's going to be like to have Brian as your instructor. And you're going to be amazed at what an affordable option that these courses are.
Yeah, I just got back from a homeschool conference. And one of the things that is amazing is the value you're getting for your money here is, amazing compared to what many of the video courses are that are out there with other, publishers. You might spend $200, $250, $300 just on a video course, and Masterbooks has these very reasonable. I'm very impressed with that, and it's kind of neat to see. And like you said, when you combine, you have access to these videos for 18 months, and so some people will even combine their children to do these at the same time. So it works out really well to do it that way. And I've had a lot of parents tell me that it's been good to have the video because it has relieved so much stress from not only the parents, but even the students sometimes, because it does make it so much easier to follow and a little bit more fun. And so other parents have said that they have done it with their child and have enjoyed, watching the videos and learning together with them. So, yeah.
Right. That's wonderful. Well, I've asked Brian to do at least one experiment or hands-on learning exercise here on this talk so that you can see just a tiny little glimpse of the excitement that happens in his courses.
Yeah, well, I don't know how well this will transfer on video, at least here in this short room that we have.
Yeah.
But I have here some thermite. Now, thermite burns at over 4,500 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's extremely hot. And a lot of parents might be thinking, why are you teaching my kids how to make thermite? Well, because it's fun and because it is safe, in the sense that it's almost impossible to light thermite without having some other special things, because you need very, very hot temperatures to do so. And that's where we get friction. Friction is amazing. As you rub your hands together, you can see how they get hot. You keep doing that, and you press her, you can get blisters and burn yourself. But that's nothing compared to how hot friction really can get. It can get several thousand degrees. And so in order to light thermite, that's what you need. And even a torch by itself will not light this. But all thermite is just rust and aluminum. So I have two steel balls here that both are a little bit rusty, but I have coated or covered one up with aluminum foil, some tin foil here. And so all thermite is a combination of rust or iron oxide and aluminum. And so aluminum powder and iron oxide, you've got something that burns so hot it would melt through the engine block of your car. But like I said, you can't light it. But with friction, it will. And so I'm just going to provide friction as I strike these two balls, and we'll see what happens. Get a good one here.
Wow.
I'm not sure if I'm getting it.
You got it. Yeah.
Hot or not.
Yeah.
But it creates a nice pow, sparks and things like that as well. Sometimes in different audios, the sound makes the audio go mute. So I don't know if they got to hear that or not.
I think it worked. Yeah.
It is. That's thermite. And so those are just some fun things that we add to the curriculum, and just talk about just even a creation perspective of these laws, and how friction takes the second law of thermodynamics. And that is a law that evolution ignores in order to teach that evolution could happen, and that the universe could come to be as they say. It breaks those laws that God has created. And so just kind of talk a little bit about those laws, how God created them at the very, very first verse of Genesis, where it says that God created the heavens and the earth. At that point, he must have created the laws that the universe is governed by, and that we as creationists can hold to and be proud of. But those same laws from an evolutionary perspective actually are an enemy to evolution. So, without getting too deep into it, it's a great example of God's faithfulness.
Absolutely. I'm so thankful that we at Masterbooks have the opportunity to teach how the Bible and science work seamlessly together, because God of the Bible created the world and all the science of it. And so thank you for your dedication.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. I tell everybody about Masterbooks. I think it is, even if I hadn't done any of these videos, I think it's such an important thing for our kids to have a curriculum that you don't have to wonder if you are going to be taught something that isn't quite right biblically. And it is solid. That's the thing, is sometimes some of these other curriculums, they may mention God as a creator, but Masterbooks stands on that as a very foundation.
I'm so thankful. Thank you so much for what you do for the world with creation instruction, what you do for the Masterbooks families. And thank you all for being a part of this talk and a part of this summit. And we look forward to seeing you back on the next one.
You bet. Thank you. God bless all of you.
God bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.